Knicks and Bruises, we are back. Shout out to the chat. Yo, Black is time. Oh man, we are here. The season's here.
Yes,
First
it is.
preseason. Got the queen in the building. Got some more guests popping in later.
Yep.
Um, let's get this thing going, man. How you doing, Queen?
I'm good. Super excited about this preseason game tonight. Super excited about the season. Super excited about being back with you in our regular spot. Now that the season has started, so I'm super excited about it all.
Yeah, I was just telling you, before we went live, I got the jitters, you know what I mean? Like I'm about to get put in the game back in the day.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely glad to be back. Glad the season's here. It felt like it was taking forever, but
Mhm.
now it's gonna be day after day after
Ooh,
day. You know what I mean? So I'm
comes at you
definitely
fast.
excited. Couple things I wanted to talk about. Let's see. If let's start with Derrick Rose. Actually, let's start there. It wasn't on the lineup, but I haven't had a chance to speak about it. I don't know if you spoke about,
Mm-mm.
his I don't know, slight dig. Maybe it's an overreaction. Maybe not. Um, but he talked about how things are going in Memphis, in Memphis, and how it's just a great change of pace. He didn't really go into details. It looked like he wanted to say something, and then he just said, let me just say it's different here. It's different here.
Mhm.
Um, did you think anything of it when you heard it? I know, a lot of Knicks fans was saying he was taking shots.
Mhm.
Um, what was your thoughts? And then I'll give my perspective.
I didn't think he was taking shots. I think he was just telling it as it is. He felt maybe, if I remember correctly, the offense was because I read the article maybe over a week ago, maybe that the
Fluent.
offense was a little more free flowing or something like that. Listen, it's free flowing now. Wait till John when Morant come back, it's gonna be a different story. But I didn't really take anything from it. I didn't feel like he was taking dibs. I mean, shots at Tibbs and his offense. The offense is different than the offense with the Knicks. The offense with the Knicks is tailored to what the players they have. The offense with Memphis is tailored to what the players they have. So I didn't really make much of it. However, I saw him last night and he looked good. And it made me think like he could have offered us a little something last season, but I didn't take much from it.
Yeah. I didn't think he said much for people to take much from it.
Hmm.
But what I took from it was he's still salty, or what I mean, he still felt like he was. We're gonna talk about Fournier in a second, but underutilized.
Yeah.
Has more in the tank, has more to give, and for whatever reason, he didn't get those opportunities
Right.
last year. So I mean, that was my biggest take from it. I didn't get to see him play. I did see I seen conflicting reports. I mean, I seen he had 13, but then I seen another post where it said he had 17 in the first half. So I don't know what
No, 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 no. He had 10 or 11 in the first half.
first half. Okay, so it must have been a misprint they was pointing out. But yeah. So 13 for the game, not bad. But like you pointed out, the main guy's not there. The main guy in that position.
Right.
Um, and I'm gonna touch on this real quick and get off of it. What was your thoughts on him talking about he's not here to babysit John Morant and that whole quote? I watched the whole interview, so it was more than a quote to me. But
Right.
what was your thoughts on that?
I liked it. I
I
liked
love.
it because I think basically what he's saying is I'm not at that point in my career. Y'all sleeping on me. Like I'm not at that point in my career now where you just bring me in as a locker room presence. I still have something to give. I still have something to offer. And I haven't played much in the past two seasons. I'm fresh. And I'm looking forward to the opportunity. And so I like that. And then I think that's a good message to Ja too. Like I'm not here to babysit you. You ain't got to worry about any of that. I'm just here to hoop and play basketball because that's not his style anyway. He's not a
Hmm.
very, from what I understand, in the locker room, he's not a very vocal guy anyway. He pretty much leads by example.
What I do love at the very least is I know Rose will, if Jots talks to him, comes
Oh
to him,
yes, absolutely.
now you have your guy. I mean, now you got that leadership. Now, you know what I mean? Like he may not volunteer anything,
Mm,
especially getting it in your personal business life, whatever. But if you come to him and express, advice or mentorship or something, he'll take you under your wing in a
no
second.
doubt. No doubt.
Shout out to Kareem Grant. He said that goes to show how much the offensive schemes hold our players' game as hostage. Um, I mean, I think every coach has their own philosophy, and your role will probably be different. If you're a player and you play on five different teams under five different coaches, or one different team under five different coaches, you know what I mean? Like your role may not be the same under those five coaches. You know what I mean? Coaches have their own game plan, schemes, philosophies, etc. Um, good coaches will utilize you to your best attributes, but good players will also find a way to utilize their skills under whatever coach they have. And that's not a shot at Rose or anybody in particular. It's just that's just the way I look at it.
Yeah. I
Um,
what I would add to that is as fans sometimes it's hard to tell, is the offense holding the player back or the player this is what the player has. Like the player doesn't have this well-developed game that we think they have, or they may have it, but in the where they are in the pecking order, they're gonna have to sacrifice a little bit because they're just not the top guy,
yeah,
So that happens as well. Like now when I'm looking at Mikal Bridges, he had that in his game, but he was third or third, maybe third, fourth, on the pecking order. So that wasn't that wasn't his role. His role was to play defense, hit the open shots.
and on top of that, I don't think he was held back there, because I'm sure they would have gladly um taken all the contributions he could give. You know what I mean? So sometimes you got to wait for your timing, your opportunity, somebody going out. Now they see what you're capable of because you have more on your plate. But you know what I mean? It's a lot of nuances to these situations. Um I guess we could transition right into Fournier
Okay.
and his comments and his he still feels like he could play, some cuss words used in his little speech or whatever. Um but just the whole situation going back to last year off season, the comments overseas. Do you think, couple questions. Do you think there's a potential of him becoming a distraction um on this team? Let's start there. Just, do you think it could become a distraction?
It could be. It could be. But well, I'll say this. He can continue to talk. I don't know if it's going to impact that locker room. You got Brunson and you got Randall, you got guys, even the young guys who've been around, been in this culture for a couple of years. Even if he continues to talk to the media and say things like that, I think the guys will stay focused. However, it is something you're going to have to deal with, at a press conference when a reporter may, ask a player about it. Um, what I'm more interested in is how is he with his teammates? Is he still practicing hard, high fiving? Um, you know, his energy, being a part of the team, or is he out there standing on the side, got a little attitude, not really engaged with his teammates? I'm more concerned with that.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of pictures, from training camp. He seems to be engaged. He seems to be smiling. some screenshots of peripheral view. He's smiling in the background
Mm-hmm.
with his teammates and things like that. So hopefully that side of it stays professional. I mean, I would think you spoke about Brunson and some of the guys on the team. I would think those guys would also be in his ear, and in by his side as far as
Right.
words of encouragement and things of that nature. Do you I I worry about him being a distraction to an extent, because things have been so good for the Knicks and the organization as far as the turnaround and the perception. I mean, the things that, hence Knicks and bruises, the things
Right.
we had to endure,
Mm-hmm.
laughing stock, etc. So it's just been a nice different atmosphere, especially from the media outlook. So I'm just hoping it doesn't become that type of situation.
Right.
Same thing with Rose. I don't have a problem with the comments, but when it starts piling up, you know what I mean. Now, a lot of the fans who don't like Tibbs, this is ammunition, right? These are the
Right.
things that they loading up, and oh well, look at how you treated this guy. Or look what this guy's saying. Um, so it just gets tiring in that sense. So maybe, to your point, it won't be a distraction so much for the team, because
Right.
I'm sure they're focusing their goals. I'm sure they've been dealing with social media and media way longer than any of us, and to a different degree, where they know how to shut things out and things like that. But I think it could definitely be a distraction for me, because I'm tired of the negativity. You know what I mean? I'm enjoying the positivity. Um, Same topic, Fournier. For me, I feel like this is maybe his opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
If he's gonna get any minutes or any type of showcasing or whatever. I mean, obviously in practice, but I think this is the time we might see him. Considering Tip said, the starters will play what, 3 out of the 4 games.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that means they're all sitting at once, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe we don't see two starters tonight, we
Right.
don't see two the next game, whatever. Um, and he said by the end of the fourth game, that'll be kind of what the rotation is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, by any chance for Fournier to crack the rotation, um, and your thoughts personally on, should he be utilized, or do you think Tibbs was valid in his statements of, you can't argue with the record
Right.
after he got sacked?
Yeah.
What are your personal thoughts on how Tibbs has handled benching Fournier? Can he make his way back?
Right.
What do you think?
No, I think it was the right decision at the time, and I'm a Fournier supporter, but that team, that rotation, and remember, Derrick Rose was in that rotation as well. It was a 10-man rotation at the time. Just wasn't playing well. You know, people were calling for Tibbs to be fired. Fans, I mean. That team was what, 13 and 14 or something like that. So he took both Fournier and Rose out of the rotation. If Fournier has become um, the one we think about the most, but both of those guys was actually taken out of the rotation. And I agree with Tibbs. You can't argue with the results. We were 37 and 22. After that. That being said, I think Fournier is a good NBA player. I don't think he's a scrub at all. I just think some of it is circumstance. A backcourt of Brunson and Fournier defensively is really not good. And I think that may have been the impetus for him coming out of the rotation, not just, and he, at that time, he wasn't shooting well enough to force your hand. Like, oh, this defense is not great at all between the two of them, but he's shooting 40% from three and 52% overall. And that kind of forces your hand and start thinking about net positives. But at that time, the defense between the two and on the team wasn't great, and he wasn't shooting well at that time. And so there wasn't anything to balance it out. Now, he made another comment that he has what this team needs. And I agree with him in the sense that I'm going to enjoy this team for what it is, and I've said it before. This team is built for the regular season. This team, can win 50 games. I would not be surprised. But in the playoffs, the further along you go, you really want more veteran players. And he's a veteran player. This is a really, really young team, so we do need that. But it has to come in a different package. Given Brunson, we need it, but it needs to come in a different package than Fournier right now.
So I'm not one of the Tibbs gotta go guys. I'm a Tibbs fan.
Mhm,
Um, but I didn't understand when he said, and I don't know if he seen. I might even be going back to Kimber Walker,
mhm.
but I guess even if it wasn't, if it was Kimber Walker and wasn't Fournier, I think the philosophy or the mindset still applies. And he said, "Oh, I view him as a starter.
Mhm.
So me demoting him, he's going into situational and out of the rotation because I don't see him. You know what I mean? As
Yeah.
a bench guy. Now that I'm thinking, I think he was talking about
I think you
Kemba
talk
when
about
he said
Kemba.
that,
Yeah.
but he did the same exact thing with Fournier, and that didn't make any sense to me in either case. Kemba's gone, whatever. So let's refer to Fournier. That's where it didn't make sense. I think to his point, we could have utilized his shooting um at the very least in the playoffs. Now
Yes.
there is an argument where you haven't played all these games in between, throw them in the playoffs. But I mean, hindsight's 2020. You know what I mean?
Right.
We could have used that shooting. That was our biggest weakness in the playoffs. And then another thing that Tibbs has said time in, time out. This is his fourth year here.
Yes. I believe so.
Um,
Tibbs or Fournier.
Tibbs.
Yes.
He says it every year. This is a new year. Last year was last year. This year is this year.
Right.
Um, that being said, I feel like he should at least have a clean slate in the opportunity to what I mean, to make the rotation. The opportunity. Um, Maybe you got to utilize him with defense around him. If he's coming in, I can't have another weak link on the defensive end. And I
Right.
think we have enough defensive guys that you can put around him to where, what I mean, maybe his defensive lapses don't become a full liability. What are your thoughts on that?
I
And
mean,
again, moving forward, you think he have the opportunity? Does he get the opportunity or not?
I don't think so, because this is the thing. Um, if you bring Fournier in and you sticking with the 9-man rotation, that means somebody is out of the rotation. If you go into a 10-man rotation, then that means somebody's minutes is going to get cut even more, because even with Dante DiVincenzo already, they looking like 25, minutes or something like that. You bring a 10-man rotation, the minutes are going to be cut. The Knicks, again, this fine line between we're trying to win and put the best players out on the floor, and we're prioritizing development. I still think there's a little bit of prioritizing development. I still think there's a little tinge of it. Um, because otherwise, I think you would find minutes for Fournier, right? So I think there's still a little bit of, we're going to prioritize development, and they have enough experience where they can contribute. Like, we're not prioritizing development over winning.
Hmm.
They're long enough now that they can still contribute to winning at the same time. But when we have to choose between the winning and winning, development and winning, let's go with development and winning. I think that's what it is. So I don't think we're going to see him Last season he played whenever RJ Barrett was out. I don't even think that's going to be the case this season. I don't even think that that'll be the case.
I'll say this: him speaking, I feel like sometimes is going to hurt his chances even more. Um, and I say that just by what we've witnessed in the past. You know what I mean? Like when quotes from Cam started popping up, it was like it was out of the rotation. You know what I mean?
Right,
Trade.
right.
The
Because
Obi
he be
clips.
interpreted as not being a team player.
Yeah,
Tibbs be interpreted as that.
yeah.
Even if that's not the case, that may be how he interprets it.
I mean the Obi audio clip got leaked. And
That's
next, you know what I
that's
mean? Right, and it wasn't that long after. You know what I mean? It was like, all right, the Obi trade. Um,
that bump.
and maybe that's his strategy. Maybe that's the strategy. Let me not, you know what I mean? I'm not gonna hurt the team, but let me like James Harden's quote. Let me make it a little uncomfortable.
Right.
You know what I mean? And see if that pushes the needle. I don't think he gets moved until the deadline. I'm leaning on that. I think that was Sims' belief. I'm starting to believe that too.
But
But I do think there's some.
mhm,
I think the Knicks have their eyes on the potential
player.
players that they could include him in the deal for.
They can also ask him to leave. But do you think that'll create more of a media storm? Do you think that may depress his value even more? If they, like who was that? He was with Phoenix. He wound up signing with Boston. I'm not Boston, Milwaukee. But he just
Crowder.
stayed Crowder. He just stayed, home away from the team
I,
until it happened.
I don't think it hurts his value at all, just because he hasn't really been able to play, and everybody's seen where he was last. And I'm not saying this in a negative. I'm
Hmm.
saying this as people know who he is. You
Right.
know, they got the recent FIBA footage, even though they didn't advance into the medal games or whatever. But
Hmm.
you know what I mean. So they know who he is. So I don't think him. Honestly, I'll say two things. For them to send him home, it's gonna be based off of him keep having these type of quotes
Right.
um continuously. So I don't think they do that unless it's he provokes it.
Hmm.
Um I guess the question is, does his value increase or decrease more him on the bench not playing, or him away from the team not playing? Honestly, I think it might be on the bench not playing um than away from the team, especially if the circumstances of him not being with the team is going to be released. So that's going to be known, whether it's a mutual agree, we're going to send him away while you know what I mean? Like there's
Hmm.
ways that you could word it to where, all right, we know what it is. This is what it is. On the bench and not playing, it always becomes a question of, oh, we shot 29% this game from three. Oh, why didn't we utilize him? Or this guy has been shooting 13% all season. Why not get you know what I mean? So I think there's more ways for it to become a distraction if he's there, is if he's visible. But
Right.
it's more out of sight, out of mind if he's sent away. Um, what up, Sim?
What's going on, man?
Welcome aboard.
Thank
Shout out
you.
to DJ Shuttle, all aboard. Um, yeah, I don't know how much you heard, or if you
Uh,
heard anything.
I just heard a little bit. I'm assuming we're talking about Evan Fournier.
Mm.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Kind of like it.
Um,
Yeah.
touched on his recent comments. I seen your short. You know, he thinks he could contribute. Thinks he could help. Um, we really just covered. Is there a way for him to get back in Tibbs' good graces? Um, we covered could he be trying to using these comments as a push buttons to try to get traded sooner? What are your thoughts on it? I seen you had the shirt
Um,
out, so I know you got some thoughts on it.
I don't think there's any way he gets back into his good graces unless it's we're in dire straits. You know what I mean? We got several people out. Then of course he's going to be needed, but I don't see it. He just
Yeah.
doesn't. In Tibbs' eyes, he just doesn't get it on the defensive end good enough, I guess. And he doesn't give you enough on the offensive side to offset what he doesn't give you on the defensive side, right? Because I'm sure there'll be people out there that say, well, so-and-so doesn't play or so-and-so doesn't play defense either, but those players probably offset it with something else that Evan Fournier doesn't do. So I just don't see it. I just don't see it.
I don't see it as either, but I still feel like there's some validity for him feeling the way he feels, because I mean a lot of us look at him as just a shooter. I think he's
Mhm.
capable of doing more. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And he's probably looking at the guys brought in and saying, I could do a little bit of what these guys do too. Other than the defensive thing. Um, I think it's tough, man. Um, any
But
thoughts on? Go ahead,
oh,
Queen.
sorry.
No, go ahead.
I think it's how who the team is together. Because think about it, we had a better defense when Fournier started. That
Hmm.
team was a better defensive team, and I'm not going to say that was because of Fournier. It's just that that entire team worked better together. We were the 19th ranked defense last season. I think we were a little better once we went to the 9-man rotation. But Brunson changes that. I think that, to me, I feel like that was the biggest thing. It was Brunson, bringing in Brunson. Like, you just can't play both of them together. I think that was the biggest thing. To your point, Tony, we do have a little more flexibility now with Grimes, DiVincenzo, um, Hart to
Quickly.
quickly to shield him a little bit. But you bringing in those guys at the same position or pretty much a wing position he played. We brought in Hart, a wing position, DiVincenzo, a wing position. So now we got more players that could balance it out a little bit, but those players play the position that he played. So is there a need to go back to him?
Right.
I mean, yeah. The only thing, and again, I'm not pushing for him to play. I'm just kind of looking at it from his side of the coin. Um, was he 6'7", at least 6'6", but
Yeah, I think
so
he's 6'7". I think he's
he
6'7".
so that's an attribute that we're missing, right?
That's
You know what I mean? So
No
can
doubt about that.
so if RJ's playing that backup four, can he move to the three? Granted, yes, somebody is gonna have to sit. You know what I mean? Whether it's Hart, DiVincenzo, quickly. So, but could again, we could utilize him just because of that size. The fact that Tibbs, and I hate that it feels like I'm coming off as a Tibb hater because I'm not, but the fact that Tibbs didn't utilize him in the second unit, you know what I mean? When you get pulled from a starter all the way to rotational, you know what I mean? That's the part I didn't get. Granted, it's gonna be harder because we brought a new guy in.
Mhm.
We took away a four and brought another, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 guy in. But that size is it's just another argument for him that I feel
Yeah.
like, hey, i- if he can make it back into the rotation, it's gonna be like tonight, right? It's gonna be based off of these preseason games and
He
what we
might not
see
even
there.
get it tonight. Tibbs be going right with
Oh,
the straight
oh,
rotation like it's the first
shoot.
game of the season.
I'm going off what Tim said. He said the starters are only playing three games. You
Okay.
know what I mean? So
Okay. All
so I don't know. But you're right. He might he made it like 3 games worth of minutes
Right.
in the 4 games.
Yeah, you see that in summer league. They come right in with the rotation. I'm like, it's summer
Right.
league.
That's what I'm saying. I don't see him getting much playing time tonight.
Mm.
Yeah.
Or not at all in the preseason.
No, I don't think so.
What,
I mean,
if
he
honestly,
doesn't, that's gonna be telling, because now it's like you telling me the exhibit 9, exhibit 10s, 2 ways, you know what I mean? All these guys will get an opportunity before I do. Like, to me, that if that happens, I'm all for sending him home, because I'm all for the least amount of distractions and all of the focus that we could
I mean,
get as a
I
team.
guess like what would be the point? I guess that's my question. Well,
I
what's
mean,
the point? Because I think Tom Thibodeau's seen 2 years of him.
mhm.
He knows what he can do. You know, in my opinion, what Tom Thibodeau needs him to do, I don't think he's gained that over this offseason.
Right.
You know what I mean? Unless Tom Thibodeau's going to use him off the bench. That's the only way. If he's going to use him in a roll off the bench, but then where? Is he playing power forward? No, he's not defending power forwards, even off the bench, in my opinion.
No, I
Right?
think his only spot is the 3. Is
The
the
Yeah,
three.
3.
Right.
yeah.
And so, I mean, it would seem, unless Josh Hart is just going to be straight up a full time power forward, and then you're slotting him in at the 3 next to DiVincenzo and Emmanuel quickly. You know, but in all of the preseason talks, I mean, if you listen to Tom Thibodeau, you know, it was like, it didn't sound encouraging to me if you listen to Tom Thibodeau, you
Right.
know, when he was asked about Evan Fournier. He was just like, he was
It
like,
is what it is.
yeah, he was like, you can't argue with the numbers when I took him out the lineup. He didn't say when I took him out the lineup, but he just alluded to you can't argue
Mhm.
with, you know, whatever stats
47 and
go out there.
22.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You know, so to me, it just doesn't seem like Tom Thibodeau has him in his plans. And I think Evan Fournier knows that too.
Mm. Do you think he could be a distraction?
I don't think he will. I think he's going to be quiet, play his role just like he did last year until a trade comes available. You know, because I think after the trade deadline, I know he probably still could be traded during the off season, you know, because, you know, a team would have to pick up his extension or whatever, or pick up his option. But I think if he's not traded by the deadline, the Knicks waive him and let him go to a playoff team or something. That's what I think happens.
I mean, yeah, that makes the most sense. I do think he can be a distraction though. If I think he's gonna have to be quiet. You know what I mean? Maybe this is like off season. Once the season start, I'll shut up. You know what I mean? Just like last year, it was like I was a good soldier all year. Soon as off season came, all right, I'm letting it all out. You know what I mean? All my feelings and emotions. But I hope he does be quiet. I do think he will play tonight though, or at some point in this preseason. And my last point, because you missed it earlier. What about Tibbs always saying it's a new year. Last year was last year. You know what I mean? Like like those are things that I feel like as a player, either I'm just like you full of shit, or dude, like give me my shot. You know what I mean?
But I think that more pertains to when he
I
says,
know records and you know what I mean, fourth seed and
but
things of that.
but also like we got to rebuild habits.
Mm.
We're not just because we made it to the playoffs last year doesn't guarantee we're going to make it this year. So we got to come in, we got to rebuild our habits. You know what I'm saying? You know, rebuild, you know, our style of play, all of that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? And if you're rebuilding habits, you're not going to rebuild them with someone you don't feel plays defense. You know what I mean? You know, you're going to rebuild them with the people that you feel play the style of basketball you want. The only way we said injuries, if in training camp he's like really shown out, then maybe Tom Thibodeau gives him a side eye. You know what I mean? You know, if he's really, really played really well in training camp. You know what I'm saying? But you know, the only person when asked about it, the only person Tom Thibodeau mentioned was Jericho Sims.
And that's a perfect transition. I was literally just about to say you spoke about how to spoke about Fournier, but yeah, he gave Sims some encouraging words. He actually said he's the only one, right? I think the only one that kind of stood out or whatever the case, or the one guy was the quote. He's the one guy that kind of
That stood out.
that stood out. Um,
I mean, I
so
think
I mean, do you think it's something or nothing? And then I guess you get into why you believe that.
I believe it's something. You know what I mean? I believe that I don't know. I think Tibbs doesn't mention guys that that he's not planning on doing anything with because once you mention that person, now people are like, "Well, you said he did this, he did that. How come you're not giving him a shot?" You know what I mean? So I think he's really only going to mention guys that he may be planning to give a shot.
And that's what the track record has been. I mean, he only once he mentions you, it's almost like that's a precursor to we're about to see him in some type of capacity. I mean,
Yeah.
we've seen it with him speaking on Grimes before Grimes kind of got promoted, if you will. Like he was the one guy day in and day out. He was talking about Grimes and practice this, Grimes and practice that. So I think it's definitely something as well. What are your thoughts, Quinn? Oh, you muted.
It's hard to imagine where Sims would fit in this rotation if we're staying with 9, unless he beats Hartenstein out. And I just think that's a possibility. I just think Hartenstein brings something different that we need, particularly in the playoffs when they key in on Mitchell Robinson and try to exploit the lack of offense. I don't see Tibbs going to 10 though, because listen, you can argue that Sims can back up Randall, but you can't play him together with Mitchell Robinson. So as right as well as he's played in camp, I don't know where would you find the minutes for him?
Yeah. The only way that I see that they find any minutes for him is unless he just like has really gone crazy in camp,
Right,
right?
right.
And he's like, I gotta see what this guy can do. The only way that I see some minutes, because I think he might get at least in the beginning of the season, maybe 10 to 12 minutes a game, and he might play some. Uh, like I think Tom Thibodeau is going to experiment a little bit with the Hartenstein and Jericho Sims lineup.
Hmm.
I think he might experiment with that a little bit. I think in the end, unless it just really, really looks good, it might be a little too slow.
Mm,
You know what I mean? So and then of course the shooting is going to be an issue because unless Hartenstein is like really tearing it up from three, who's going to be shooting? You
mm,
know, so definitely, I think it ends up being Josh Hart that's going to play that power forward spot in the second unit. But I
yeah.
think Tom Thibodeau might just want to give it a look because he's mentioned it a couple of times,
Hmm.
right?
Yep.
That
And we've seen it.
yeah,
Hartenstein and Sims.
And when you think about it, you know, 90, what is oh no, it's only one position. So you taking that 48 minutes and trying to split it three different ways.
But I actually I could see that, but also with some minutes being split with Hartenstein and Sims. Um, a lot of people keep
Four
saying
minutes.
Sims at the 4. I think Sims would be the 5, and
right.
Hartenstein would stay at that 4 position where he could still stretch the floor a little bit. He could still make plays for others at that spot. So I think it could work beautifully. Honestly, um, I'm not saying an equal split of minutes with the three of them at center, but some here and there. And Mitch has been foul prone, um, and so is Hartenstein. You know what I mean? Like I remember when people was calling him Hackenstein. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
there's gonna be minutes for him just in that situation where some of these guys get in foul trouble. My other thing is his strength and size is gonna be utilized at that center position. I think for certain matchups better than a Hartenstein. Um, Maybe even better than a Mitch at times. Just because he has a little bit more girth, I guess you would say. Like you know what I mean? So and he's still strong. Plus what he lacks in size at 6'9", he makes up with athleticism and able to sky. So I could see a world where they split the minutes. You see a lot or a little bit of Hartenstein and Sims together. You'll never see Sims and Mitch together, but Hartenstein and Sims you could see. And also Hartenstein and Mitch you could see. So I think it's viable. And then if he goes to a 10-man rotation, it doesn't have to be a 10-man. Like the 10th man could be, he might switch here and there. You know what I mean? So it could be a 9-man solid rotation where the 10th man is different depending on the situation. So that be maybe a way that we do see a Sims in the rotation at times. We see a Fournier at times. I don't know who else. I'm sure we'll get into that as
Right.
the preseason. Yeah, McBride. Um, I was referring to those other guys, the two ways and the
Oh, okay.
exhibit. You know what I mean? But I'm sure we'll talk about that on you guys' show. But yeah, that part. Um, Anybody want to add anything about?
I mean, the only other thing is, you know, if Sims all of a sudden came in this season and he's knocking down threes like crazy,
Oh,
then something could change. I doubt it. I highly doubt it. But
The messed up part is it don't have to be like crazy. If he's shooting if he's shooting if if he's shooting 33%, I think that's what I mean. That's not for a
that's
center. That's
lights
good.
out.
You know what I mean? For a center, but that you know what I mean. That'll be more than enough. I think to open some eyes.
yeah, I mean,
He's
that's
shooting
like for
33.
him, that's like crazy to me.
Oh,
Trip.
okay. I,
Yeah, but he
I
doesn't
mean
even take a regular shot. We
that's
talking
true.
about a 3-pointer. What is in his favor though is he went from 41% from the free throw line to 75. Now it was a small sample size, but I didn't even think it was possible because in college every year he shot worse from the free throw line. Then
Mm.
41%, and then last year he only took 16 shots, but he made 12 of them. So maybe there's something there as far as touch and shooting.
I don't think he's afraid though. Because I remember in his first preseason game, he took like two threes or something like that. And I was like, oh, okay.
Hmm.
And I remember when we went to the open practice,
Hmm.
he was shooting some threes and, he made a few of them.
And they look good.
And
That
I
was
know,
that was what got me. They look good.
what I mean? Confidence is one thing,
Hmm.
is he, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he's afraid. Maybe he is afraid to shoot him. Maybe he just doesn't have the confidence to shoot him in the games. I don't know. We'll see.
Right.
You know, um, but I guess we'll find out tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember last year. He was it last year? Oh no, his rookie. Last year wasn't his rookie year, was it? This is his third year, right?
Third year.
Third year. Hmm.
Remember in his rookie year, yeah, I mean, he actually played in that first game versus the Celtics. He played some minutes in that first game versus the Celtics. So, I guess we'll find out
Oh, let me
tonight.
shout out Sherwin. He says, stop calling Mitch injury prone, and then he said Mitch only fouled out 4 games last season. and one of them he played 35 minutes and grabbed 18 rebounds. Um,
Still injured.
you're absolutely right. Um, he didn't foul out a lot of games, but he had 5 fouls or foul trouble in a lot of games, and that's what I was referring to. And to his credit, Mitchell Robinson did come back and play with foul trouble a lot and not foul out throughout the year. So I agree. I was just stating it's gonna be times where he picks up a second, picks up a third, you know what I mean, and now you gotta take it, you gotta take him out. That's all I was referring to. I didn't say he fouled out a lot though, because he didn't.
Oh yeah, last year he did better. I thought injury prone. I thought you said he said injury prone.
Oh no, foul prone.
Prone.
My bad. I mean, let's get into this game real quick. Not a full breakdown, but I watched the Celtics last night. Played the 76ers. Sim, I know you said you was gonna either listen in or watch some of it.
I watched
Queen,
a little bit of it, not that much though.
Queen, you said you caught some of it. So I want to talk about what I saw from them. Um, I mean, first thing that kind of came to my attention from my point of view is they're gonna miss Time Lord. They're gonna miss Grant Williams. I feel like as much as Chris Stapps is going to help them, um, not even saying the injury prone, I don't think he's a strong guy, a strong defender, or a tough. You know what I mean? They're gonna be missing some toughness in the paint. That's gonna be a weakness, I think, for them. Rebounding is gonna be a weakness for them, in my opinion. Especially from the bigs. Collectively, they may be able to make up for a lot of that or need to, but their bigs, I don't know. I think that might be their Achilles heel. As much as Kristaps does help them with the spacing and what he can bring, I think they're gonna be missing, their bigs. They got Luke Cornett. He's not really a tough defender, you know what I mean? Like, he has his moments. You got Al Horford, who to me I think is aging out. And defense is gonna be one of those areas that, I mean, he's been doing it for years, relying on IQ. I feel like because athleticism and other attributes are dwindling. So I think he's gonna lose a step defensively as well. That was the main thing that stood out, or the first thing that stood out. Watching them. Another thing was Peyton Pritchard. I call him PPP because he got paid now. So he got his little 30 million. But that kid could ball, man. That kid could ball, and I was listening to somebody had a quote basically saying most guys, if they went through what he's went through throughout his career, just trying to stay in the league, you know what I mean, they would have quit, they would have left. And just you know, talking about his toughness, mental toughness and toughness. And you could see it. I've seen it in the past years past. I've always liked his game. He always seemed to be a guy that came off the bench and killed us in his spot minutes. But he might be more valuable to this team. This might be his most valuable year on the team. So those were the two things that stood out to me. Tatum had a relatively bad game. Jaylen Brown, I think pressuring his ball handling is probably gonna be on a scouting report. He's a little sloppy with the ball handling. But those are the things that stood out in the game. What would you guys see in the game? And I don't know how y'all was looking at it, but I'm looking for weaknesses. I'm looking for advantages. I'm looking for how can we, beat these guys when we play them and potentially outseed them. I know it's a far fetch, but I'm trying to go as far as we could go.
I didn't see a whole lot of the game, so it's hard for me to it's hard for me to really give a good breakdown of what I seen because I only seen bits and pieces of it. So it's hard. I'm not sure. I'm not sure where I am with them yet.
Well, take some of those things as keys to look at tonight.
Yeah.
Tonight,
I,
um,
what I will say is
Mhm.
one of the keys for the Knicks against them is going to be physical.
physicality. Yep.
Use your physicality inside. That's where Jericho Sims can come in, right?
Right.
Use your physicality and strength on the inside to put pressure on them. You know what I mean? And have to and see if you make them adjust to how you play, if they can adjust to how you play. Because I do believe that they're going to be weaker inside. That's without a doubt. You lost two guys that were, Robert Williams and Grant Williams, who were aggressive on the interior. You know what I mean? You don't just replace that easily.
Right.
Al Horford is crafty. He's good. And I think he can be physical. But he's also older. You know what I mean? So I do think that's where we can have an advantage. By using our physicality against them.
Yeah, I saw a good portion of the game. I didn't see the last quarter. I agree. The advantage the Knicks have is in the front court. Mitchell Robinson and Hartenstein are two of the best offensive rebounders in the entire league. And that's not going to change with Boston. They're going to be able to get second chance opportunities. I don't see Horford, like Sam said, is crafty. I don't see Porzingis being able to keep either one of those guys off the boards.
Yeah.
Um, you know, their guards, though, I like the flexibility. And that's the thing with them. If they stay healthy, the flexibility that they have to start Drew, um, to play Drew at point and Jalen at two, or to move Jalen to three and to start and to go with Drew Holiday and Derek White and bring Pritchard off the bench. And then that way they don't have to play Porzingis and Horford together a lot. That's what they did last night. But if you move Tatum to four, then those two guys can play behind each other, and beside each other some of the time. So I think offensively, with the spacing that they have, it's is they can make it hard for the Knicks. What I do like though is our perimeter defense should be better. Our perimeter defense should be better. So I don't think it should be a total mismatch when we're talking about guarding their backcourt. But the front court is where I believe we have the advantage on them.
Yeah, I've been doing my Celtics research, and
Mhm.
one of the guys was saying how they're trying to make a decision on whether they want to go with the Derek White Holiday combo, or if they want to go big with the Porzingis Horford combo.
Right.
And the mindset in bringing in Porzingis was so that they could go big, because that was something that they lacked last year. So that was going to be their new like direction. Like now we're going big. Um, you know what I mean? Because they weren't capable before. Bringing in Drew Holiday, um, kind of put a wrinkle in that, in the fact that they got to make the decision, because they're not going to go with Holiday. They can't go with Holiday and White and go big at
Right.
with Porzingis and
Right.
Horford. So the mindset is they're going to look at the big lineup first,
Mhm.
and see how that goes, and then if that doesn't work, maybe they'll go big in the backcourt with Holiday and White. But to your point, Peyton playing up to what I mean this year, that might open that door faster for him to just be that backup point guard, and they play with the two potential starters.
So
Um,
did Porzingis? I didn't see the beginning. Did Porzingis and Horford start?
started.
Yeah.
Yep.
They
And
started.
and Holiday came off the bench. Um, so and again, a lot of their fans or their fan podcasts. I'm doing my research. You know, they, so they like, oh, is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? I've seen both sides of it, where they like the idea of Holiday coming off the bench and kind of being that spark plug, that guy to run the team, gives him time to implement himself and get accustomed to what they're trying to run. And then some people are like, oh, what are you doing? You traded for him. You're gonna put him on the bench.
Mm.
So
I don't think it stays that way. I think he eventually becomes a starter.
I agree. Even if they go big with Porzingis, and
Yeah.
I think he ends up being a starter as well.
Yeah, I think right now, the purpose in having him come off the bench is because they have continuity with Derek White, right? They have chemistry. They've done that. They know that, and so this gives Drew Holiday the chance to come off the bench, get acclimated to everybody, get acclimated to the system, and all that kind of stuff. And then once he masters the system, I think you probably see him moving to the starting lineup.
Mhm.
That's what I think. Unless he just becomes like, hey, I'm cool, I'll come off the bench. But I think that's probably the plan. You know what? Let's stick with chemistry and go from there. And that's probably the best way to go about it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree. The Knicks got some decisions that they got to figure out. Right? We got what, 12 guaranteed spots, 14,
We got
15 spots.
we
I
got
think
14 guaranteed right now, right?
no, 12 guaranteed contracts. We got 14 people under contract. So we got one open spot. There's 15 on the roster.
Yes.
15 on the roster. I thought we
So we
had
got, yeah, we got one like fully open spot, but
one
two
open.
contracts aren't guaranteed.
Who
Two.
was that?
Uh,
Isaiah
is it
Roby. I know he's not guaranteed.
is it I don't want to. I'm not sure which one it is. So you tell me if it's Ryan Ryan um Ryan A. Is he a exhibit 9, or is he a contract?
So he's exhibit 9. Right now, the Knicks actually have, I think they have 13 guaranteed contracts.
Oh, 13.
Yeah, because Isaiah Roby's not guaranteed.
So
Until
who's
9.
the other one?
Who's the other?
Guaranteed
So
contract.
you have Randall, Brunson. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So you have Randall, you got Brunson, you got Barrett, Evan Fournier, Mitchell Robinson, Josh Hart, DiVincenzo, Hartenstein, Quickly, Grimes. Or actually, no, you're right. Daquan Jeffries is not guaranteed either.
Jeffries. There you
I
go.
don't think he's guaranteed either. So you're right. You got two guys who's not guaranteed, and Jeffries and Roby.
Jeffries and Roby. So yeah, those two guys. I don't know if they get, what I mean, if they even make the cut over.
See Roby though.
I mean, to me, it's gonna be between Roby and Knight, and probably Jeffries and the Wilder kid,
Windler,
Windler. You know what I mean? I think it's gonna be out of those four guys, kind of who gets get the guarantee spots. To me, I'm just looking at over because of
Mhm.
experience and you know what I mean, like literal NBA experience. Because those are the four that kind of played in real NBA games and things of that nature. So I mean, those are like some of the back battles that we got to look for. You know what I mean? I know we got the regular training camp battles, but those are the ones. It's like, so it's 3 spots open that they could flip flop between somebody getting who had a contract going to a 2-way. Someone on a 2-way might get a contract. You know what I mean? So it's gonna be a great, interesting training camp battle. Um, do you think the Celtics play their full roster coming in to this game on a back to back in the preseason, or do you think
Right.
they
Right.
sit some guys? And if they do sit some guys,
Yeah.
do you think Tibbs goes with more of the opportunity guys as opposed, because he already said 5 start the starters are only playing 3 games. I don't know exactly if he meant 3 games total, 3 games worth of minutes.
Only
You know what I
four.
mean? Yeah, there's only 4. He said the starters will play 3 games and the rotation will kind of be pretty much set by the 4th. So I would think if he's getting a look at guys, it's gonna be tonight. You know what I mean? Like that would be my opinion.
And
And if Boston's sitting guys, that would be more reason to maybe give guys a look. Or do you think he goes with where he goes with whoever's playing for Boston?
I think he goes with who he goes with because I think he's got this planned out. We're gonna play this game. We're gonna play our starters. This game we're gonna play our guys. This game we're gonna play our guys. This game we're not. We're gonna see what every other people got. So I think he goes with who he goes with, regardless of what Boston is doing.
Yeah, I agree.
But wouldn't tonight be the night he kind of gets to give guys the look? If we're going by him playing, the starters only playing 3 games and the rotation kind of being set by the 4th, is it the 4th game where you think he looks to see who makes the cut, or is it
I don't know
like, does he go full-fledged game 1, 2, 3, and
if
then by game 4 it's like, all right, rotation set. Let me see who's gonna make the cut, final cuts. Da, 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 da.
it were
Or
me. If
yeah,
it
how
were
would you?
me, I would play my rotation on game 1 and 2. Game 3 is where I'd see what other play. I'd be looking at other guys to see who's going to fit into missing pieces in my rotation. And then game 4, I play it almost like it's a game.
Mm,
You know what I mean? That be my dress rehearsal with the guys that I pick. Like the second tier guys, whoever that's going to be part of my rotation in my lineup, my 15 man. That so I'd have those guys, I'd have it set, and then game 4, I'd be okay. I'm going to play this like it's a game, and use my rotation the way I want to use it.
see, I agree with you. My only confusion is when Tibbs saying the starters are gonna play 3 games.
Right. So I'd go games 1, game 2, and then game 3,
Oh,
I
game
play the
3
other
would be
guy.
the one that they sit. I
Right.
got you.
And then
I got you.
game 4 is when I would play it, play my rotation. So the
How'd
start
you
play 3 games.
how would you do it, Queen?
I don't think they're gonna all 3 play. I don't think all of the starters are gonna play the same game.
Or gonna sit the same game?
Are gonna sit the same game. Yeah, I think he may.
Yeah.
I think that does hurt. Well, they've played all season last season, so I don't know how much that hurts continuity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a starter sit here and there, and that does allow another. Like, say you start Brunson, now you can get an extended look at quickly. If you sit RJ, now you can get an extended look at a 3 guard lineup.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be like that. You sit Mitch, now you can really get a good look at Sims
Sims, yeah.
that particular game. So he may do it that way.
Yeah.
Boston, I don't think they're going to play their guys. I mean, we played them twice in the preseason and the first game of the regular season.
That's another thing.
Yeah, they may sit, but I agree with Sam. I think Tibbs going to do what he's going to do, no matter what they do.
Yeah.
I was looking at it. I mean, I like both your ideas. I think initially I was thinking that he sits maybe 2 starters this game, 2 starters the next game, and then 1 starter the 3rd game, and then by the 4th they all play, and then they all play 3 games. That was one way I was thinking. This game, test the waters with everybody, and then kind of progressively knock guys up. But I mean, I like actually both of your guys' suggestions on what he does. I'm just happy to see some Knicks basketball. Whoever sits, I think there's always gonna be a guy that is gonna step up that I'm like happy to see right now. You know what I mean? Like, so like if Randall doesn't play tonight, I mean, that's gonna be the interesting. If Randall sits tonight,
Yeah.
who
Coming off the injury, right?
or if Randall has to sit any particular game this
Right.
season, that's gonna be the question. Like, who moves to that starting four? Let it alone. We talk about the backup four. Who would move to the starting four
Or
if Randall is out?
yeah, I mean, I think if Randall is out right now, he's going to go with RJ and bring
RJ.
somebody in at one of the other spots. That's what I think happens right now.
Start RJ at 4
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then bring. Okay.
I think at least from the beginning of the season, I think that would be his mindset. If Randall had to sit out in game 2, okay, let me move RJ to the 4 and either start quickly or DiVincenzo or Hart,
Right.
you know, and he might go with Hart because Hart could switch back and forth with RJ from the
hmm
3, 3 and the 4,
Right.
something like that.
and I wouldn't be surprised if that's tonight. As far as like Randall missing the game, if everybody's gonna miss a game, I wouldn't be surprised if Randall misses this one and kind of just have him ramp up for 2, 3,
Yeah.
and 4.
Right.
So
I mean, I think I would try to give Randall some minutes though, so I could test it and then go from there.
that's
All
true.
right, let's get you in the first quarter, play 6 minutes. Let me tell me how everything is feeling,
Mm-hmm.
right, and let's go from there. That way, when you do get to game 4, like you got some intel on
Yeah,
Randall. If you hold off for a little while and then you just say, okay, it's game 4, let's get out there, and something happens, you're like, dang, you know what I'm saying? But at least you have a little bit of intel.
Right.
But I'm pretty sure, you know, it's crazy because we don't get the chance to see it, but I'm pretty sure they put him through some rigorous stuff to test that ankle,
Yeah.
you know.
no doubt. All right, I'm gonna end the show, but I'm gonna try to end the show every time with a hot take. Everybody gotta give a hot take. It could be any hot take you want. It could be about the game tonight. It could be about the season. It could be about anything you want. Um, I'll start with you, Queen.
Oh.
I'll go first. I'll go first. This is my hot take. This is my
Okay.
hot take. Um, I don't like it. I don't want it. I think the Knicks are gonna trade for Karl Anthony Towns. And
Wow.
the reason I think this is because I'm just trying to be logical. I don't think there's no way Philly will trade and be to us, right? I don't see them doing it. I'm looking at the landscape of what's been going on, right? And the player empowerment and guys saying where they want to go, and teams are like, nah, we're gonna get the best package for you. So the Knicks may potentially have the best package, but I also think that in the back of them, some guys, mind GMs, they know they're not gonna like. I think they knew they wasn't trading Dame to Miami. I think they knew that, and you know what I mean. So certain times, I think when you know you're not gonna do it, you're gonna get the next best package. You know what I mean, or you're gonna use them for leverage to get a better package from elsewhere. So that being said, I think a lot of pieces are falling off the board as far as like potential stars, superstars, or whatever that we could go after. Um, I think he's like one of the only guys left that is still gonna be available, still has the ties. You know what I mean? Those rumors were early, like a couple years ago they started. I
Mhm.
think they're gonna resurface and yeah, that's my hot take trade deadline.
Yeah.
I'm
I'm
not
okay with
asking for it.
Towns.
I ain't go front. I've been watching him a lot lately. He's better than I thought he was. You know what I mean? Like he's a lot better than I thought he was. And this is about time that he's reaching his prime, right? So we might see the best that we've seen from him this year. But again, I'm not asking for it. I'm just that's my hot take.
Yeah. I'm okay with Towns. I know a lot of people don't like him, but I think environments matter. and I think we could see improvement in. I mean, the skill set is there, but I think it's possible in this environment that he takes his game up a notch. My hot take is that at some point this season, DiVincenzo becomes the starting shooting guard. No knock on Grimes. I just think that he's a bit more proven. He has the ball handling, which I hope Grimes, he talked about it. I hope that's, we're going to see some of that um, as well. And just from reading about DiVincenzo, moving from team to team and the injuries that he's had, I get the sense from him and others who talk about him that he's not a finished product, even though he's going into year 6. So that would be my hot take.
Phew. I don't know if I have a hot take. I don't know if I have a hot take.
Mild takes him.
I'm gonna go maybe a little more funny. Julius Randle's gonna go full-fledged in on the Skechers thing. You gotta rock them during the season. You're gonna see Julius Randle doing all kinds of stuff with Skechers. That's what I'm going for. You know, he's got pictures with the owner and all of that. You know, he might even get his own signature shoe.
He doesn't have one. I
don't think so.
I'm not up on the Skechers news, but did he sign with them?
Not exactly sure. Nothing like that's been announced. But he wore them in training camp. Terrence Mann wore the same exact pair, so it's not a signature deal because Terrence Mann wore the same pair. He took a picture with the owner of Skechers.
I was
he goes all in because I feel like Julius Randle is rebranding himself. If you look out on his Instagram, some of the videos he put out, he's got a brand new logo. He's got his haircut, changed his agents. You know what I'm saying? I think it's a rebrand.
Total rebrand.
Him. You know what I mean?
Total rebrand. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some type of ownership partnership deal. You know what I mean? Where these guys get a stake in the company.
Well, you can buy Skechers on, you can buy their stock. So it could very well be that, as part of, representing Skechers, they gave you,
such shares,
stock or something like that. That's possible. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna say he goes all in on it because I think he's rebranding. You know what I mean? And I think he goes all in on it.
Oh, we got hot takes from the chat. Hold up. Hot takes from the chat. Jay Williams, hot take. He says, we're going to get some offense from Mitch this year. I like that hot take. Oh, I had one more thing I wanted to ask you guys. What the hell was it? I think I lost my train of thought. It's all right because we got shows all day, so I'm sure I'm going to remember. Sim, what time you going on?
4:30.
4:30. We got
everything up right now.
We got the pregame at 4:30. Queen.
6.
6 o'clock.
Is that enough time, Sim?
Yeah, I'm only gonna. I'll be no more than an hour and a half. So,
right. I'm gonna try to make it. I got some things I need to do in between.
Okay. Yeah.
There you go. We got Queen's Court. We got the post game show tonight. We got the first losers lounge tonight because the Knicks is getting that dub. We lit tonight. Shout out to the chat, man. Appreciate y'all. Thank you for joining. As always, your blackest time. Until next time, we out.